Titan Table Talk of the fall of 2025. An exciting weekend in Titan athletics, a monumental football game, volleyball with a sweep down in Texas, men's soccer off to a 2-0-1 start, women's soccer getting a dub on Saturday. We begin on the gridiron. I'm Matt Sossler alongside Titan head football coach Jared Williamson. Coach, a good week one against Central, not on the right side of the score sheet, but what were some of your takeaways from Saturday?
Yeah, good in terms of you're excited to compete again, obviously. There's no moral victories in defeat. But at the same time, I'm hoping, as we sit here today, not having our first team meeting yet after the game, I'm hoping that the young men understand that we can compete with anybody if we execute. And I thought their effort was outstanding. I just think a little bit of here and there execution in all three phases really led to being down, and then led to not getting over the hump there in the fourth quarter.
A 27-18 loss to Central of Iowa. Your general reactions on the game?
Obviously, slow start. Couldn't get off the field on third and fourth down defensively, offensively, couldn't stay on the field. That first drive, that third and short, was a real killer because it kept our defense playing way too many snaps in the first half. But we talked about being able to respond no matter which unit ran on the field, overcoming adversity. I think our kickoff return team did that, and then brought some juice and energy to the rest of the group for the rest of the half. And so we really played situational football to make it a one-score game at halftime. I thought the third quarter was outstanding in all three phases, getting us back in the game. But again, some situational things just didn't allow us to finish.
Will Nasser with a big kickoff return in that contest. We'll get to that in just a moment. When we talked last week, week one, there's a lot of unscouted looks, a lot of uncertainty heading into the first game of the year. How do you think your team handled that?
Yeah, I think for the most part, a couple of unscouted things really hurt us. I think on both sides of the ball, in particular, how they use their two tailbacks for our defense, their offense. When you have those two guys in the backfield, you can create gaps on either side of the football. And so I think that was something that we weren't aware they were going to do that took us a while to adjust to. And then offensively, we felt like they were going to move up front a lot. And in certain situations, still not being able to handle that movement was an issue for sure. But overall, I don't think the unscouted issues were the reason for the defeat. It was really our execution.
You mentioned the Central rushing attack, one of the best in the region. However, a defensive line of Illinois Wesleyan that lost a couple of big pieces from last year to this year, still able to hold Central 100 yards below their average of 2024 with a similar personnel group. Marshawn Griffin, Matt Hansen, two big names stepping up in clutch moments. What are your thoughts on the D-line's play? Yeah,
we still need to fit the run better in terms of winning football, but overall, that's not just a defensive line thing. That's an 11-player on defensive thing for sure. And so, linebackers, safeties, fitting the run correctly. But in terms of those guys you mentioned, I thought they played really hard. I thought that was evident throughout spring and fall camp that those guys can play hard. I still go back to the big senior class last year. I think some of these guys could have played a lot more last year, if it weren't for the depth of the overall senior class. So I think they're chomping at the bit. I think they'll learn from this film, and I think you'll continue to see solid play from that group.
Matt Sossler alongside Titan head football coach Jared Williamson. Following week one, we talked about Will Naja earlier, not only a kickoff return, but also making a couple of key grabs on critical downs. Your reactions on his play?
Yeah, I think, number one, the trust that Dermot has in Will and kind of the whatever you want to call it, just connection they have, the timing they have is outstanding right now. And I thought, Will's confidence continued to grow in camp, knowing that once he got over the new scheme mentally and settling, he could play fast, and he goes and attacks the football. He's not afraid of big moments. So you saw some big third down plays from him, some big contested catches from him, and obviously the kickoff return was a real spark in the game, and I thought really led to us having a chance in the football game going into the half.
The scoring stats indicate a lot of what happens on the field. However, I noticed on Saturday your sideline had some great energy, especially after the kickoff return, really helping you guys stay in the contest and try and force a comeback. How did that help propel the team?
I think in general, if the team is able to see this and understand that, we're going to have a plan for each week, and if they just believe in that and work on the execution, just work on the things we can control, we're going to be just fine. And one thing I'm hoping they understand is we had told them this has got to be a sloppy game. This has got to be a nasty game, one possession game in the fourth quarter, and then that's our chance to go get it. And for us to make it the kind of game we wanted to and not be able to finish is probably the most frustrating part, but I'm hoping that the players now understand each week if we execute and focus on ourselves, we've got an opportunity no matter who we play. And I think that goes back to every coach you talk to, every program here at Illinois Wesleyan. If you're able to attract good student athletes, regardless of the program, you're going to have a chance to be successful, and obviously this university does that.
Couple of more before we focus on the bye week. GB Kruzik flipping from defensive back to wide receiver after a couple of receivers went down during the offseason. Stepped up in a big way, 5 catches for 71 yards in his first game as a receiver. Not a ton of prep in the offseason on the offensive side. Your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, GB's a very talented athlete. He's got experience doing both. And was probably a question mark for where do we start him, knowing that he could do both. But like you mentioned with the injuries on the offensive side in fall camp, and he's really not had as much prep as you would think, and handled it well. Still a lot of refining to do, but I don't think he's afraid of the moment, especially he's not afraid of the one-on-one. And I thought it was a good start for him.
One more player. The kicking game is going to come in huge this year. It already has in week 1. AJ Vavrick nailing a 41-yard field goal midway through the third quarter, one of the longest in quite some time for Illinois Wesleyan. I believe the second longest since 2020. How did his kicking game help propel this team, keeping it within a one-score game late in the contest, and how big an asset can he be for you this year?
Yeah, for sure. He's got a lot of confidence. He's got a strong leg. The best part about him is so far, at least, he's not been afraid of the moment. We had him at practice kick a long field goal for kind of a double or nothing. Hey, the rest of the team's going to do this if you can't put it through, and he didn't sweat at all. I like his timing. If we get a snap that's high or low, he doesn't stop in terms of the operation. He continues to go and trust that those guys will get it down. And we were into the wind. It was a game where both coaches played the wind, obviously, and knew that was a factor. So that baby was into the wind. It would have been good from probably 50 yards. So he did a nice job of, like you mentioned, keeping it a one-score game and really giving us an opportunity to strike there in the second half.
Matt Sosler alongside Illinois Wesleyan head football coach Coach Williamson ahead of the bye week. A week to bye. Some coaches think it's a pro. Some coaches think it's a con. What do you think, and what are some of the pros and cons of having an early bye?
Probably depends on the day what I think. I think both. But we have it, so we're going to tag it like a second fall camp. We're going to get a lot of things in that we haven't installed. We're going to get a lot of reps in for everybody. So I think in terms of having an approach, this is the number of practices for week 1. We did that, but we knew we left some installs out there on purpose, knowing we had this bye week. We also know we can have the players continue to compete for reps and spots, no matter what positions. And then lastly, it's a good weekend at minimum for us to be able to watch our opponent and not have to wait for the game film. We can watch them live, and the coaches can get a head start this weekend on our plans coming into Monday. So it does give us some extra prep time. So we're going to approach it as a really cool opportunity. Also kind of our first down since fall camp. So the players, whether it's catching up on their studies, maybe they can have another meal with their family or something like that, I think it'll be really productive.
Matt Sosler alongside Titan head football coach Coach Williamson on Titan Table Talk. We take a look at Titan soccer coming up right after this. Coach, thanks so much for the time.
Appreciate it.
The Titans enjoy a bye week. They'll be back in action in a couple of weeks when Elmhurst comes to Tucci Stadium on Saturday, September 20th. Tune in to IWSports.com and the CCIW Network for coverage. Coach, thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Why is Illinois Wesleyan the #1 school in Illinois for jobs? Maybe it's because we're the AND University. That's right, A-N-D. And here you can explore the arts and study in a pre-professional program, double major, and play a sport, do an internship, and study abroad. Your opportunities are endless. Set yourself apart with a degree from Illinois Wesleyan.
From football to football, we welcome you back to the second edition of Titan Table Talk for the fall of 2025. I'm Matt Sosler. We just heard from Titan head football coach Coach Williamson following their opener against Central. And I'm now joined by two women's soccer players on the IWU women's soccer team. Captain Ellen Dahlquist and Maya Flemming, a senior defender. Maya, Ellen, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Coming off of a big win against IC this past weekend. Ellen, I'll start with you. Your takeaways on the match.
Yeah, I mean, we came off of two really tough matches earlier in the week. So going into this game after playing very high levels of teams, we were eager to finally get a win, and we came out with it.
A 3-0 win over Illinois College. Kaylee Carew with the go-ahead in the 14th minute. Maya, how important was it to get the early lead in that match?
That was essential to keeping the mentality up during the game. I mean, we were playing well, but we really needed that goal to kind of get our energy going and continue to win that game.
You play a tough schedule out of the gate, a tough Simpson team, top-ranked Wash U. I'll ask this for both of you. How does playing tough opponents early on in the season help you when you get to conference play?
I think it really just tests you to see where you're at the beginning of the season. Playing them as our first games is hard mentally going into that, knowing that they're so good, and then kind of playing not as high-ranked teams lets us kind of see where we're at on both sides of it.
I think also going off of that, it really tests our culture as a team because, they always say, it's easy to be a team when you're winning, but when you're playing really hard teams, you really get to build and struggle with your teammates and learn how to play as a team and not individually.
Matt Sosler alongside Ellen Dahlquist and Maya Flemming of the Illinois Wesleyan women's soccer team. We've talked about the tough schedule so far, the importance of the first win against Illinois College. But my next question is for you, Ellen. Your leap from your freshman to your sophomore year, what are some adjustments that you've made to be ready to go the second time through?
I think that I've put a lot of work in our whole team as in the off season, so just coming in, not being a freshman anymore, having a little bit more know to the ropes of how the season goes, how the team culture is, and just being able to bring in my experience of 1 year into this next year, I think has helped a lot.
From a macro perspective, you're about a month into the season. What have you learned about your team so far?
We've learned a lot. I mean, it was a young team, especially last year and the year before. My freshman year, we had a lot of upperclassmen, but this year I really do think the culture has been so much stronger than I've experienced in my past 2 years. I really feel like we're playing as a team and playing for each other, which is a good change.
Yeah, my sophomore class is the majority of the team, just numbers-wise, and last year we were all freshmen, so we weren't exactly sure how everything went. We didn't have that experience yet, and I think just another year of experience for everyone on the team has been a lot.
Let's start with you, Ellen. Having the sophomore class be the bulk of the roster, how does that impact the team dynamic in terms of who has leadership roles and who is able to be the dominant class on the team? How does that help with this group?
I think it goes to show that everyone leads in their own way, no matter what age you are. We have Maya's a great leader as a senior, but we also have younger girls who are leading in their own way. And I think it's really helpful from the team to not be necessarily separated by class, by upperclassmen and lowerclassmen. Everyone has their role in leading and talking and their own experiences.
Maya, the perspective as a senior.
I agree with Ellen. Like she was saying, everyone can lead in a different way. I mean, we have some very big personalities on the team, and they're great leaders. And then we have some quieter people on the team. And like Ellen said, it's not necessarily by class. Even though there's only 4 seniors, I feel like we're all playing our parts. And the sophomores, they're the biggest class, and they're all doing an excellent job of leading. It's just kind of all working as a team.
Ellen Dahlquist and Maya Flemming join us on this episode of Titan Table Talk following their win over Illinois College. Up next for you, you have Monmouth tomorrow at home at 7 o'clock, Wartburg on the road this weekend. What's it going to take to turn one win into two to potentially three this upcoming week?
I think a big thing for us is just take it one game at a time. Right now we're just worried about Monmouth and going out there and getting another win like we did on Saturday.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We just got to come out strong with the energy that we came out at IC.
Ellen Dahlquist and Maya Flemming of the Titan women's soccer team on this edition of Titan Table Talk. Up next, we'll stay at Nice Field and look at the men's team. Ellen, Maya, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
They say every challenge holds an opportunity. At Illinois Wesleyan, you've got the power to seize it. Here you'll find the tools, mentors, and real-world experiences to take on any challenge and become the person you're meant to be. The best college in Illinois for landing a job? You're looking at it.
Tap or click now to start your free application.
And break through at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Second episode of Titan Table Talk rolls on. We stay on the pitch. We're now joined by Titan men's soccer players, Jerry Smazil and Nick McCully, two senior defenders, also captains on the team. We just heard from Maya Flemming and Ellen Dahlquist of the Titan women's soccer program. They just picked up their first win over Illinois College for the Titan men's soccer program. They're off to a good start, 2-0-1 on the year. Jerry, Nick, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Jerry, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the season so far?
It's been great. I think, starting out, going to Kentucky, picking up 2 wins on the road was a lot of fun, and just showed the passion and the grit that we have going on the road and taking those points. And then I think most recently the game against Knox, sort of, the tie 2-2, sort of made us realize that we have to, push a little harder and work a little harder in practice as well. So, but it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
100%. I think having a draw in a game like that we really thought we could have won, little bit of a fire under us. So.
People say in sport that you learn from a loss, you celebrate a win. In soccer, what do you get from a draw? Is it a learning experience? Do you celebrate a draw? Is it contingent on the opponent? What's the outcome of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it depends really on the game. I think obviously in this last game we had against Knox, it felt a little bit more of like a loss to us because that's a game we really thought we could have won. But I think it definitely is something that we can learn from and become better in the future.
Yeah, 100%. It depends on how the game goes too. Like Nick was saying, we really dominated like Knox, so it was, and we had like a lot of possession, way more shots than them. Like we could have buried at least 4 or 5 goals. So that's why I felt like a loss. But sometimes you're just barely hanging in there, and that tie feels a lot better than if like you lose the game or win the game. So it did. This one felt like a loss, but yeah, it's very dependent on the situation.
You both are about a month into your senior campaigns. Where would you rate this season so far? Jerry, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I rate it pretty high. Like the culture's there. We have a lot of freshmen on the team, but I mean we really help them get on board and learn everything and just adapt to college soccer. So that's been a lot of fun, and I just taking the learning experiences along the way so far. So like the first month we've both learned a lot, especially being like leaders on the team. But it's been a ton of fun, and I rate it very highly. Like compared to last year, we were also rolling at the beginning of the season, but hopefully we could keep these wins going into this next month.
Yeah, definitely high expectations for sure. Starting off very similar to like we did last year. We're trying to learn as well from last year as well, things we did right, things we did wrong, try and have kind of that similar start.
You mentioned senior leadership. The difference between high school and college soccer is huge. Mm-hmm. Jerry, especially with your younger brother, Daniel, a freshman on the team. Start with you and then go to Nick. What are some of the lessons that you've bestowed upon them as they begin their college soccer careers?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is the level change. So like I know for my brother and all freshmen, like you go from college or from high school soccer and go to college soccer, it's way more physical in college. A little bit more technical, but you have to have the physical ability, and then on top of that, just like dealing with your schoolwork. But for for him, like for all the freshmen, it's like you can't expect to come to a new program and to get everything right away. It's going to take time. You're going to have to develop a little bit. So that's a big difference from, going from the college or high school level to the college level.
Yeah, definitely building on what Jerry's talking about. This type of transition is something that's not really going to happen overnight. So I'd say the biggest thing for me is just simply patience. It's going to take time, and I think a lot of them really like to rush into it and get the results as fast as they can, but it's a process.
The results have come. You haven't lost so far in 3 matches. You go to Kentucky to begin the year. A lot of programs across all sports do a longer overnight trip out of state to begin the year. How does that help with team bonding and for the youngsters just getting their feet wet in college soccer?
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be able to, gel together and be together for, such a great amount of time. Especially it helps being able to go to Churchill Downs or the Louisville Slugger Dome, getting to make those fun trips. But, really just soaking everything in and taking it one day at a time really helps.
Yeah, 100%. Like the bonding, it's unmatched. Like you're with the team in the hotel. You're spending a lot of time doing a lot of different cool events. Like they set up so many cool things for us to do together. So, and just being in a new area, a new place. Not playing always like we always play. On nice at Wesleyan here or at colleges we've been to before. So like the new scenery was really great, and it helps everyone just get to know each other way more. And yeah.
Nick, I'll start with you. What was your favorite part of the trip outside of going 2-0?
Outside of going 2-0, it had to be going to Churchill Downs, being able to see the entire place, something I really wasn't aware of. We had a guy take a tour, really show us around. He was at Churchill Downs for about 75 years. So, he lived and breathed that race every single year. So it was really an eye-opening experience for everybody.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Churchill Down too. I didn't know. I feel like I didn't know much about horse racing. I don't know if a lot of guys did on the team, but learning more about horse racing was awesome. And then also the Louisville Slugger. Like we went to the Louisville Slugger factory where they make the bats for the baseball players, and they had really cool a wall of signatures and stuff. So that was a ton of fun. Like seeing the different perspectives and the different culture there, it was really cool.
Did you collect a bat to bring back to us?
Yeah, 100%.
You got to hand that to Coach Keller, see if the baseball team can use it in practice. Unfortunately, not in games with them only using medals at the college level, but they make good stuff over there.
We got these mini bats. They're very small though. They're that big, but they were free. So
yeah, don't know if they can hit with that.
I don't know.
Maybe they could use it during batting practice. You never know. That'd be kind of interesting.
The bat might break, but.
Might be tough to use. Matt Sossler alongside Jerry Smazil and Nick McCully of the Titan men's soccer team, both senior captains fresh off their trip to Kentucky and a draw against Knox. You both are seniors. You just reflected on the recent trip to Kentucky, some good memories there. What has been your favorite memory as a Titan so far entering your final campaign?
It's definitely, first thing that comes to me is our bus rides. I think all the work that we put into this, having a bus ride back home after a win, everybody's singing, everybody's yelling, hooting and hollering. But I think for me, especially with all the videos, all the fun times, that's the most fun part. Yeah,
the experience of that is awesome too. I'd say the off season. I know for me and Mick, and all the guys, just grinding during the off season. We have our whole season, in the fall and then in the spring. And from January to April, we get to just work out, to be together, play soccer together, doing all those little things grinding it's a ton of fun for all the guys, and seeing the progress. We get a lot better from January to April, just physically, mentally. The guys just love that, and I think we talk about guys, especially alumni, remember that time the most, probably more than the games. So, yeah.
This week you have 2 matches. You're at Blackburn tomorrow, and then Kalamazoo on Saturday at home. 2-0-1 on the year, not a bad start, but you mentioned last year where you started off on the right foot. Things sort of tailed from there. What's it going to take this week to ensure that the hot streak continues?
Definitely just staying hungry. I think that's one of the biggest things we have in this group going forward. I mean, whether you're a newcomer or a returner, I think everybody's just hungry, got something to prove for different reasons. Had success among both those teams last year, and especially Kalamazoo. That's a game we'd like to have back, and really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I remember now Kalamazoo last year. You know, we played them first game of the season, I think, and we tied them. So that'll be a good one on Saturday, and then I think just preparing ourselves in practice today, tomorrow, going into Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday going into Saturday. So preparing ourselves, being mentally, there and ready to battle. Yeah.
Illinois Wesleyan men's soccer captains Jerry Smazil and Nick McCully on Titan Table Talk. The Titans take on Blackburn on the road tomorrow. Then they return back to Nice Field on Saturday. It's a 3:30 kick right in Bloomington on campus. Encourage everybody to head out to Nice Field, cheer on the Titans. If you can't make it, tune into iwsports.com for all the broadcasting coverage. Jerry, Nick, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having us.
We go from an exciting trip to Kentucky to the Lone Star State. Titan women's volleyball middle blocker Hannah Tellor and head coach Kim Nelson-Brown join me coming up right after this, talking about a clean sweep in Texas on Titan Table Talk.
When competition for the best jobs is fierce, how do you set yourself apart? Experience? An education? Yes, but not just any education. At Illinois Wesleyan, we prepare graduates who break through the noise, who run the boardroom, the classroom, the lab, the stage. The best college for jobs in Illinois is right in your own backyard. Reach further, dream bigger, and break through at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Wrapping up the program of this edition of Titan Table Talk, I'm Matt Sosler. We just heard from Titan head football coach Coach Williamson, followed by interviews with the Titan men's and women's soccer teams. We wrap up with an exciting interview, Titan women's volleyball doing something that has not been done in over 5 years' time. We're joined by senior Hannah Tellor and head coach Kim Nelson-Brown. Coach Hannah, how are we doing?
Good. A little tired, but otherwise good.
Getting back in late from the Lone Star State last night, and the accolade I alluded to, this is the first time since 2017 that Titan women's volleyball has rattled off 3 straight sweeps in the same multi-team event, with 3 sweeps this weekend in Texas. Hannah, I'll start with you. What are your takeaways?
I thought that we did a really good job coming together and just working on our communication, and I think there were times where we kind of struggled with energy and a little bit of defense, but I think that we picked that up throughout the weekend, and that just really put us over the top for our last game.
Individually, Hannah, you hit above 440 in 2 of the 3 matches. For you, what went right in Texas?
I owe it all to the setters. I could not do anything without them, and the pass before that. It's just they're the ones putting me in such a good position to score.
You mentioned passing. Sophia Feeney notched her 1,000th career assist. Coach, Sophia's been a mainstay in your lineup for the last few years. How important was this milestone to her?
It was good. I mean, obviously you see how hard she works, and I think, sometimes our team, you see how hard Alex hits and how hard Frenchie hits. And I think sometimes you forget about who puts that up there for them to put it away, right? And just how Hannah alluded, Soph has been a huge connection with our middles. And I think Hannah's not talking about all this, but when you look at so far this season, I think last weekend when we opened at home, Hannah was missing that connection with the setters a little bit. I think both of our middles were struggling with that a little bit. And I finally feel like we kind of found that rhythm this weekend. And that is kudos to all 3 of our setters for really trying to put the time in to work with our middles. And across the board, our middles just look like so solid right now with that connection with our setters. So it's been good.
For both of you, how does a trip like this help with team chemistry? You mentioned getting in sync between the setters and the hitters, both on and off the court, going far away this early, helping to build what hopefully is a long season.
Go ahead, Hannah.
We are so blessed that our coaches gave us the opportunity to do some other things outside of volleyball this weekend. So we went on a boat tour to see all the bats come out of the caves in Austin. And then we also went on a ziplining tour yesterday. And I think that just really allows us some time to kind of relax outside of volleyball and have some fun and just build those friendships and connections outside of the court. And I think we've seen that translate onto the court a lot also.
Did you actually zip line over the
Yes,
weekend?
we did. It was so fun.
Who was the best zip liner on the team? I don't know how you judge that.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably Tony.
Tony was pretty funny.
Yeah, our other assistant coach. He's pretty funny.
We had 2 different groups, so it was hard because we weren't all together, but it was fun. I think Eleanor was the comic relief in one group, and then I think Tony was the other group. So
Yeah.
Coach, you've done this trip before, 2015, when your daughter Ty was a freshman. However, the trips carried a big difference. The Titan found a huge help with this trip compared to the last. How have those trips compared to each other?
You know, a lot of times we would love to do excursions with their team because we do understand it's more than just volleyball, right? It's building those relationships. And the Titan Athletic Fund has come into huge play for us. And even Tyler, being a part of the program as a student athlete and now as a coach, she says, man, it would have been great to have been able to do some of those things. But back in 2015, we didn't have that. And so our donors and the supporters of our program have really made an impact on building memories for our team and not just the ones on the court. And a trip like this is vital for the growth of a team, I think, but allowing us the opportunity to do a lot more than just play volleyball. And we appreciate that.
And you could say that that balance of having fun off the court leading to great success on the court, sweeps over Texas Lutheran, Puget Sound, and Southwestern, bringing it back inside the lines. The play of the freshmen, specifically Lauren and Carly, over the last weekend, how have they gotten acclimated into the program?
This is a kudos to our returners. I think they've done an excellent job to make our freshmen feel comfortable. You know, Tyler and I were talking last night on the bus. I think that was the loudest return to campus that we've had in a really long time, and I think it's a true reflection of what we've been doing on and off the court, but also the returners making the freshmen feel comfortable enough to be themselves and to have a voice and respect each other through that. And so it's, you know, it makes that transition on the floor a lot easier because of what's been going on off the floor.
I'd say just a big shout out to our freshmen. They've bought in since this summer when they were responsible for doing their summer workouts by themselves and without the team. And I think that they've really just bought into our culture and our values, and that just makes it such an easy transition.
Moving on into the rest of the season, you have DePaul up next. It changes the dynamic of the schedule going from a trip to Texas, 3 matches in 2 days. You have some time to breathe and think a little bit with only 2 matches over your next 2 weeks. Coach, I'll start with you. How do you balance that, but beginning with a tough DePaul opponent?
DePaul is always tough, and so it's one of those matches where only about 2.5 hours away from each other, it makes sense to play each other. And so Deb Zellers and I have known each other for a really long time, and they came to our tournament last year, so we had an opportunity to see them here on our court, and now going back. They're 4-3, I believe, is their record right now, and you know they've played some tough teams, and so we do have one common opponent, that's Earlham, that we played earlier. And so, you know, it'll kind of give us a sense of what we need to do. This has also come, you know, we design our season or our schedule based on what we've been doing. Knowing we were coming off a big weekend, we wanted 1 match and then a weekend off. And we open conference next week. And so the DePaul match is kind of that last non-conference match to get us going for conference. And so a little bit of a break next weekend I think is in order for everybody because we've been going hard since the middle of August.
Yeah, we know that we get everybody's toughest game against us, so I think that it's going to be a good opportunity to see some good competition, but also kind of focus these next few days on what we saw this past weekend that we need to keep improving on. I think that's the biggest thing right now is just getting 1% better of what we're doing right now and just focusing on ourselves.
How do both of you manage this part in the schedule and what hopefully will be one of your final breaks until the Christmas break in the middle of December?
You know, it's the coaching staff also recognizing when the players need it too, right? And I think there's this good communication between our team and the coaches in regards to what they're in need of. We ask them daily on a daily questionnaire how they're doing, and we get feedback, and they know to be honest with that. And it allows us the opportunity to kind of get a pulse, so to speak, of how they're feeling. And, as we go through season, we'll continue to monitor that pulse. And if we need to back off a day or two, we will, because we know the long run is to be playing here at home in December.
Yeah, from the players' perspective, we definitely appreciate the opportunity to be honest with our coaches and for them to kind of take the answers of how we're feeling and different things like that and build them into our practice plans. And I think that we're all excited to have a weekend off and just kind of relax for a little bit and just kind of recharge and rest and get ready for starting conference next week.
Matt Sossler alongside Illinois Wesleyan women's volleyball senior Hannah Tellor, head coach Kim Nelson-Brown, wrapping up this edition of Titan Table Talk. Certainly an exciting week ahead for the Illinois Wesleyan Titans. For Titan women's volleyball, they hit the road. They're at DePaul on Wednesday, September 10th in Greencastle. Then they open conference play on the 17th at King Arena in Wheaton before returning home the weekend of the 19th, beginning with a match against Wittenberg on that Friday. Hannah, Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
That wraps up this edition of Titan Table Talk. I'm Matt Sossler, and we'll catch you next week.